They build up this police state apparatus against the foreign brown people, thinking the public would buy into it, the whole time building the mechanism, the apparatus to go after the general public and keep us from ever taking our government back from one of their criminal takeovers, which we're in the middle of right now.
In Mexico's most violent city, Ciudad Juárez, authorities aided by U.S. FBI agents have launched an investigation to find the killers of 2 U.S. consulate employees and the spouse of another official. They were gunned down Saturday in broad daylight in 2 different locations within minutes of each other. Police suspect the gunmen, who wounded 2 minors in the attack, may be linked to drug cartels. It is the highest-profile murder of U.S. citizens since President Felipe Calderón began his military-led war against drug cartels 3 years ago. In a statement, U.S. President Barack Obama said he was outraged by the killings. Secretary of State Hillary Clinton said the violence underscored Washington's commitment to work with the Mexican government to cripple drug trafficking organizations operating close to the U.S. border.
Say it's an incursion. The Mexican Navy caught on the United States side of the border doing surveillance in Starr County.
Channel 5 Stephanie Stone has the proof, and she's live with more. Stephanie.
The proof in this case is in the pictures, and it's proof the Mexican military sees no boundaries.
This is not the first time it happens. It's my understanding it's happened before.
It's not the first time, and it won't be the last. Zapata County Sheriff Siggy Gonzalez says he's seen the military before, heard about what happened last night. Just across the lake from Zapata sits Falcon Heights, 14 miles from Roma, 27 miles from Rio Grande City. It's remote Starr County, and it's here that most everyone saw La Marina. These pictures were taken shortly after 6 o'clock, some more clear than others. The folks in Falcon Heights are staying as quiet as their storefronts. No one will go on camera. They will only say the helicopter was here for about 10 or 15 minutes. It circled over a house just down the street here, a house where a known criminal once lived.
It had some armed individuals in the helicopter. It had an open ramp in the rear of the helicopter with armed individuals. Very military looking, very military style, and very military prepared.
We tried to get a comment from nearly a dozen government agencies on this side of the border. The FAA directed us towards Customs and Border Protection, who would only say they knew about it and the Falcon Bridge was not affected. So it seems the only people who really know why La Marina were in our airspace are sitting on the Mexican side of the lake.
Secure the border. It's a comforting mantra that takes on a very different ring when you're actually on the border, looking at the unmanned drones and armored vehicles and other symbols of a militarized zone. Borders are big business these days. But the real financial frontier is border technology, like Boeing's virtual fence, mile after mile of surveillance towers, bristling with security technologies. Final price tag, $2.5 billion. And Boeing's not the only contractor cashing in. In many ways, the war in Iraq is coming home, with some of the best-known brand names in modern warfare rushing to position themselves in this lucrative new market.
Wants to do on the U.S.-Mexico border is to train the U.S. Border Patrol. If they were asked by the Bush administration to provide private soldiers to patrol the border, I think without question Blackwater would do it. I think it's a very profitable industry, the immigration industry, the border patrol industry, and I think Blackwater wants a piece of that business. Tenemos ahora mucho violencia contra los inmigrantes de las fuerzas oficiales de los Estados Unidos. Si tiene un grupo privado en la frontera entre los Estados Unidos y México, es muy peligroso para la gente México y la gente de los Estados Unidos. Blackwater ahora quiere un contract con el Departamento de Defensa de los Estados Unidos que lucha en la guerra contra los narcos. pero es muy peligroso porque esta guerra no es sobre narcos, pero es sobre la guerra contra movimientos progresistas en Latinoamérica.
Thanks for joining us, Peter.
I'm glad to be here.
Peter, in your book, The Real Grand Chessboard and the Profiteers of War, you talked about something else other than the normal military-industrial complex we've read about in the past. Let me read this back to you. Science Applications International Corporation, SAIC, an $8 billion corporation involved in defense, intelligence community, and homeland security contracting. In the words of veteran journalists Donald Bartlett and James Steele, SAIC represents a private business that has become a form of permanent government. SAIC epitomizes something beyond Eisenhower's worst nightmare, the military-industrial counterterrorism complex. Peter, talk a bit about what you mean by this.
First of all, we have to get the idea of private military contractors, and I think the easy one for everyone to visualize is the company that used to be called Blackwater and is now called Z, because they have clearly illustrated the dangers of contracting out the business of fighting. It's a privately owned corporation. It has no Wall Street connections, and the Wall Street people and the New York media have no trouble talking about it. But there are these other corporations which are very deeply embedded in Wall Street, of which Booz Allen Hamilton is one and SAIC is another. They are bigger and have been around longer and do more to shape the thinking in Washington, and we don't hear about them. I call them in this article private intelligence corporations because the horrible fact is that Washington is now privatizing intelligence, and that includes surveillance on people.
Now, Robert Gates, Obama's Secretary of Defense, used to be part of SAIC as well. Is that true?
Was on the board of directors of SAIC, yes. And Mike McConnell was with Booz Allen Hamilton.
So what's your understanding of the Point Corps MO?
Their MO? They do whatever the hell they want. These soldiers are answerable to no one. They're loyal to nothing but a paycheck. It's the Muslim terror gold rush.
You've been watching these hearings?
Yeah.
So the head of the committee there, Stephen Collins.
No, he's finished. We'll just keep knocking him down until he goes away. Do you have any idea what he's threatening here? This is $30 or $40 billion annually. That's wrath of God money.
The hearings are saying 3 or 4.
Overseas, the real money is what Point Corps stands to make in its domestic operations.
I wasn't aware that they had any.
Who was sent in for crowd control after Hurricane Katrina? Us. Private security contractors deputized to shoot at American citizens. Who's training Chicago police on new interrogation techniques? Soon, Point Corps will take over from the NSA on phone taps, terrorist databases, all of it. It's a fundamental restructuring of domestic intelligence policy. It is the privatization of Homeland Security. Billions and billions of dollars.
The convergence of globalization and technology has created a new brand of terrorism. There were persons who, for whatever reason, came to view their home country as the enemy.
The kind of right-wing, religious-based domestic terrorism.
Disturbing news tonight about homegrown terror.
Part of this is a big change in the White House, a new cultural experience, and some of the crazies are coming out of the closet.
Right now, it looks like there is no connection between the men arrested and any known terrorist cell.
Homegrown.
Yeah, homegrown, I should say.
Folks, we've got a very serious situation here. I'm holding what is called the right-wing extremism, current economic and political climate, fueling resurgence and radicalization and recruitment. And in it, we talked about the fact that they define pro-lifers as domestic terrorists. They put this in a Department of Homeland Security document, this official assessment, now saying pro-lifers, people that believe in end-time prophecies, people that are opposed to the administration's position on immigration, those of us that are standing up for the sanctity of life and for the sanctity of marriage, all of those are now potential, and this is what they're saying, domestic terrorists.
It's a terrorist next door that could be our bigger threat.
They call people who believe in the sanctity of life, who believe in owning firearms, who believe in serving their country in the military and coming back, who are very concerned about the policies that this nation is embarking on, spending too much money, taxing too much. It's all listed right here. These are the domestic right-wing extremists.
1 million names under the watchful eye of the United States. America's so-called terrorist watch list has hit the record number, according to one of the country's most prominent civil liberties groups.
That's a lot of people to keep track of. They're adding new people all the time.
It's a secret list that you don't know really quite how one gets on, and you don't know how you get off.